The engagement ring on Claire's finger was not mine. I stared at it while my fingers rested against the small black gift box in my pocket. 5 years. 5 years of birthdays, late-night calls, cheap takeout, rainy walks, and promises about a future we were supposed to build together. And tonight, she was sitting across from me with another man's ring on her hand. "Ethan, we need to stop pretending." Her voice was calm. Too calm. I kept my eyes on her face. Pretending about what? Claire slowly pushed a small silver key across the table. My old apartment key. The one I had given her 5 years ago when we were still young enough to believe love could solve everything. "I don't want this anymore." My fingers touched the key, but I didn't pick it up. "You came here to return a key?" "I came here to end things." The restaurant around us was filled with soft music and expensive laughter. Crystal glasses caught the golden light above us. Couples sat close together, celebrating anniversaries and engagements. I suddenly hated every table in the room. Claire folded her hands. "I've accepted Victor's proposal." The words landed harder than I expected. I had known Victor Sterling was interested in her. Everyone knew. He was 38, worth billions, and appeared on magazine covers like money had made him untouchable. But I had believed Claire would choose me. That was my mistake. 5 years, I whispered. Her expression barely moved. "I know." I pulled the black box from my pocket and placed it beside the key. "I bought something for you." Her eyes dropped toward it. She didn't touch it. "Don't." Just one word. I felt my fingers slowly curl against my palm. "Don't what?" "Don't make this harder than it needs to be." I almost smiled. Harder? I had spent 5 years making everything easier for her. I remembered skipping dinners so I could pay her rent when she was between jobs. I remembered waiting outside her office with medicine when she was sick. I remembered every time she told me she was too tired to talk, and every time I convinced myself that tomorrow would be different. Now I was sitting across from the woman I loved while she asked me not to make her breakup uncomfortable. The restaurant door opened. Victor Sterling walked in. I recognized him immediately. Perfect suit, expensive watch, calm smile. He crossed the room as if everyone already belonged to him. Claire stood. Victor placed one hand around her waist. She leaned into him. That hurt more than the ring. Not because I had never imagined losing her. Because she looked relieved, as if being beside him had removed a burden from her shoulders. Victor glanced at me. "So you're Ethan." I didn't answer immediately. His smile widened. "I've heard quite a bit." "I'm sure you have." Claire's hand settled over his. Victor looked at the key on the table. "Still holding on?" I picked it up. "No." I slid it into my jacket. Something changed in Claire's expression. Maybe she expected me to fight. Maybe she expected tears. Maybe she wanted proof that leaving me had been difficult. Instead, I pushed the unopened gift box toward her. "Take it." She hesitated. "I don't think I should." "Then leave it." Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Victor gave a quiet laugh. "You know, Ethan, some men spend their entire lives trying to enter my world." I met his eyes. "I never wanted your world." His smile faded for half a second. Claire noticed. Victor leaned slightly closer. "That's easy to say when you've never had access to it." I nearly laughed. He had no idea. Neither did Claire. Years ago, when Sterling Holdings was close to collapse, Victor had contacted a financial consultant through an intermediary. That consultant had been me. I had found the holes in his company, rebuilt his financial structure, and saved him from losing everything. He had promised to clean up the mess. I had believed him. Then I walked away. I never told Claire. I wanted one thing from our relationship. I wanted her to love me without knowing what I could buy. Tonight, I finally understood that she had been measuring my worth anyway. I stood. Claire's eyes followed me. "Ethan." I stopped. For one stupid second, I hoped she would say my name differently. She didn't. "Take care of yourself." Her fingers tightened around Victor's arm. "You too." I left. The cold air outside hit my face. I stood beneath the restaurant lights with my hands in my pockets, staring at the traffic. I wanted to go back. I wanted to demand an explanation. I wanted to tell Claire that Victor was not the man she thought he was. Instead, I walked to my car. That was the first decision I made for myself. At home, I placed the black gift box on the kitchen table. I opened it. A simple silver bracelet rested inside. On the back, I had engraved the date we first met. 5 years ago. I remembered Claire laughing that night. I remembered promising her that I would always be there. My phone lit up. An unread message. Claire, Victor can give me the future you never could. I stared at it for a long time. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I could have written 100 things. I could have told her the truth. I could have begged. I could have reminded her of everything I had done. Instead, I opened her contact. I pressed delete. Then I placed my phone face down. The next morning, I walked into my office expecting an empty room. Ryan was waiting for me. My older brother stood beside my desk with a thick folder in his hands. He didn't smile. He pushed it toward me. The words on the cover made my stomach tighten. Sterling Holdings. I opened it. The first page contained a document I recognized immediately. Victor's signature was at the bottom. I slowly lifted my eyes toward Ryan. What is this? Ryan's expression hardened. He tapped the signature. Something you should have seen 5 years ago. I turned another page. More numbers. More signatures. More hidden accounts. My anger disappeared. Something colder took its place. Ryan leaned against my desk. Ethan, he doesn't know you're back in the game. I stared at Victor's signature. Then I closed the folder. 5 years ago, I had saved his empire and walked away. Today, Victor had taken a woman I loved. He had no idea what he had just awakened. Ryan opened the folder again. I didn't touch it. The first page already told me enough. Sterling Holdings, expansion structure. Underneath, it was a financial model I had designed 5 years earlier. My own work, my own numbers, my own signature sat in the corner of the original framework. I leaned closer. This isn't possible. Ryan pulled a chair across from me. You built it. I built the original structure. And Victor is still using it. I turned another page. The debt figures were worse than I remembered. Sterling Holdings had never truly recovered. Victor had simply moved the problem from one company to another. Shell companies, hidden loans, false valuations, debt transferred through private entities until the numbers looked clean. My stomach turned. He promised me he would clean everything up. Ryan's eyes hardened. He promised you a lot of things. I closed the folder. 5 years ago, I had believed Victor wanted to save his company honestly. Now I understood what he had actually wanted. Time. He needed someone intelligent enough to stop the collapse while he found a way to hide the damage. And I had given him exactly that. My phone vibrated. I almost reached for it. Then I remembered the message from Claire. I turned the phone over. Ryan noticed. You still thinking about her? Don't. I didn't finish the question. You didn't need to. He leaned back. Ethan, if you expose Victor, Claire loses everything she thinks she just gained. I stared through the office window. That was the problem. If I went after Victor, Claire would get hurt. Her new apartment, her engagement, her future, everything she had chosen over me would collapse. Part of me wanted that. That frightened me more than Victor's lies. Revenge would be easy. Justice was harder. I pushed the folder away. I'm not doing this because Claire left me. Ryan watched me carefully. Then why? Because people are going to lose money if Victor keeps doing this. That answer sounded better, but it wasn't the whole truth. I still love Claire. That was the part one hated admitting. I wanted her to be safe even after she had chosen another man. Ryan stood and gathered the papers. Then decide what kind of man you want to be before you decide what happens to Victor. He left me alone with the folder. For several minutes, I didn't move. Then I opened it again. The numbers waited. So did the truth. Across town, Claire was stepping into a world I had only seen from the outside. Victor's penthouse occupied the top floors of a glass tower. I knew because Ryan had sent me the building records. I didn't need to see the photographs. My mind filled in the rest. Expensive furniture, private elevator, a view over the city. Everything Claire had once told me she wanted. I wondered if she was happy. Then I stopped myself. That question wasn't mine anymore. 2 days later, Ryan called. Victor changed the expansion meeting. What? He moved it forward. That's strange. He also canceled 2 investor calls. I stood beside my kitchen counter. Anything else? A pause. Security records show your name. My hand stopped over the coffee cup. What? Your old contact information appeared on a confidential security list. I looked at my phone. Claire's number was gone. I had deleted her. But apparently someone else had not forgotten me. Send it. A minute later, the file appeared. My name was listed beneath a warning. Ethan Cole, prior financial consultant. Restricted access. Below were instructions. Notify Victor immediately if he appears at any Sterling property. I stared at the screen. Victor was afraid of me. Not because I had money. Not because I had power. Because I knew where the bodies were buried. That night, Claire called. I almost didn't answer. I did. Hello. Her breathing was quiet. Did you know Victor is afraid of you? I said nothing. Ethan, what makes you think that? He doesn't like your name. I sat down. Claire, you shouldn't be calling me. I know. Then why are you? She took a breath. Because something feels wrong. I closed my eyes. Trust your instincts. Do you know something? Yes. Her voice became softer. Then tell me. I almost did. I almost warned her. But if I told her everything before I had proof, she would think I was trying to destroy her new relationship. So I kept my voice steady. Be careful. That's all. For now. She went quiet. Then came the question I had secretly wanted to hear. Did you ever lie to me? I looked at the bracelet still sitting on my kitchen table. Yes. Her breath caught. About what? My life. The call ended before either of us could say more. The following morning, I received an invitation. Sterling Holdings was holding a private board meeting. The board had hired an anonymous financial consultant to review the expansion structure. That consultant was me. I almost declined. Then I remembered Victor's signature. I remembered the hidden accounts. And I remembered Claire asking whether I had lied to her. I put on my suit. This time, I wasn't walking into Victor's world as the man Claire had rejected. I was walking in as the man who understood it better than anyone. The boardroom was silent when I entered. Executives turned toward me. I placed my folder on the table. My review shows serious structural problems in the expansion plan. A board member frowned. Can you prove that? I opened the first document. Yes. The meeting continued for nearly an hour. Every question had an answer. Every hidden debt had a connection. Every strange transfer led somewhere. Then the doors opened. Victor walked inside. He was smiling. Until he saw me. His smile vanished. His step stopped. For several seconds, neither of us moved. The board members looked between us. Victor's hand tightened around the folder he carried. Ethan. I closed my file. Victor. His eyes shifted toward the executives. Then back to me. He understood. I wasn't there by accident. He approached slowly. You should have stayed gone. I closed the folder in my hands. You should have kept your promises. Victor's face lost its color. For the first time, the billionaire looked frightened. By Friday, 3 of my biggest consulting clients had canceled their contracts. No explanation. No warning. Just short emails thanking me for my work and ending our agreements. I sat at my desk with the third message open on my screen. Ryan stood near the window. That's not normal. No. You know who's behind it. I closed the laptop. Victor. Ryan's jaw tightened. He's trying to scare you. He's trying to make me look dangerous. My phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a client. It was a news article. The headline claimed I had become obsessed with destroying Sterling Holdings after losing Claire. I read the first paragraph. Every detail was twisted. Every truth had been bent into something ugly. Ryan watched my face. You want me to fight this? No. Ethan, if I respond emotionally, Victor gets exactly what he wants. I stood. Let him keep talking. That afternoon, Claire appeared outside my office. I knew she was there before I saw her. The receptionist had called upstairs. She looks angry. I almost smiled. That was Claire. Even when she was hurting, she wore anger like armor. She entered without waiting for permission. You're trying to destroy Victor. I closed the folder in front of me. Is that what he told you? He doesn't have to tell me. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone. My friends. His board. People online. She dropped her phone onto my desk. The article was still open. I pushed it back toward her. None of that is true. Then tell me what is. I stood. Victor's company is built on financial lies. Her expression hardened. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to look at the evidence. You're angry because I left. I was angry. Her eyes narrowed. Were. Yes. That seemed to hurt her more than if I had shouted. I walked toward the window. I loved you. Losing you hurt. But I didn't start investigating Victor because you chose him. Then why? Because people are being deceived. She crossed her arms. You always make yourself sound so noble. I turned. I never said I was noble. Then what are you? I didn't answer. She took a step closer. You could have given me everything he gives me. I stared at her. That's what this is about. Her voice shook. You never gave me that life. I gave you everything I had. That wasn't enough. No. My voice stayed quiet. It wasn't. She looked away. I let the silence breathe between us. Then I reached for the one truth I had avoided for 5 years. You never asked what I was capable of. Her eyes returned to mine. You never asked what I knew. Because you never showed me. I know. My fingers rested against the edge of the desk. That was my mistake. She swallowed. You're saying you could have been rich? I'm saying money was never the point. Then what was? Trust. Her face changed. I could see the fight inside her. She wanted to believe I was lying. Because if I wasn't, then leaving me had never been about what I lacked. It had been about what she failed to see. She picked up her phone. I can't do this. Then don't. She stopped near the door. Are you going to destroy him? No. Her shoulders relaxed slightly. I'm going to let the truth destroy whatever deserves to fall. She left. I watched the door close. For several seconds, I stood there wondering whether I had just lost her forever. Then I remembered something. I had already lost her. She had simply taken longer to leave. That night, Ryan called me. His voice was different. Ethan, we have a problem. I sat upright. What happened? Mason contacted me. My stomach tightened. Victor's financial officer? Yes. What does he want? To survive. Ryan sent me a file. I opened it. My blood went cold. Victor had created documents showing that I had illegally manipulated Sterling Holdings accounts years ago. My name was everywhere. My old consulting records. My signatures. My financial models. It looked real. Too real. Ryan was silent. If this goes public, your reputation is finished. I stared at the documents. Victor had finally made his move, but he had made one mistake. He had forced Mason to falsify evidence, and Mason had kept the originals. Send me everything. You understand what this means? Yes. You'll have to admit you worked for Victor. I closed my eyes. That was the part one feared. Claire would know. Everyone would know. For 5 years, I had protected my secret because I wanted Claire to see me as an ordinary man. Now I had to choose between protecting my image and telling the truth. I chose the truth. The next morning, my attorney and I submitted the original financial records. I gave them everything. My contracts, my consulting history, my private correspondence with Victor, even the documents that embarrassed me. When the investigator asked why I had hidden my involvement for so long, I answered honestly, because I wanted a normal life. That sentence hurt more than any accusation. By afternoon, the story changed. The same people who had called me a bitter ex-boyfriend were now asking who I really was. Claire called. I answered. She didn't speak for several seconds. I found something. What? A document with your name. I sat down. What document? The original Sterling agreement. My heart stopped. Where did you find it? Victor's office. Her breathing became uneven. You were the consultant. I didn't deny it. Yes. You saved his company. Yes. And you never told me. No. Why? I looked at the silver bracelet on my desk. Because I didn't want you to love me for what I could give you. She whispered my name. I closed my eyes. I wanted you to love me for me. The line went quiet. Then she spoke again. I thought you were powerless. I know. I thought Victor was everything you could never become. He isn't. A long pause. I was wrong. I didn't answer. Because there was nothing left to say. Claire had finally reached the truth. But truth didn't erase 5 years. Later that evening, she returned to my old apartment. I opened the door. She stepped inside and stopped. Her eyes moved toward the hallway. The closet was empty. Her dresses were gone. Her shoes were gone. The little box of photographs she had left behind was gone too. She touched the empty shelf. You really removed everything. Yes. Her hand dropped. I thought you'd keep something. I almost did. She looked at me. What changed? You did. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. Instead, she reached into her bag and pulled out a folded document. The original financial agreement. She placed it on the table. Then she unfolded another page. A handwritten note was attached. Claire read it first. Her fingers began to shake. I stepped closer. The handwriting belonged to Victor. Only one sentence appeared beneath my name. If Ethan ever returns, destroy everything before he speaks. Claire stared at the words. Then she looked at me. The woman who had once believed I was powerless finally understood why the most powerful man she had ever met had been afraid of me. The ballroom was filled with cameras when I arrived. Crystal lights hung above hundreds of guests. Investors stood beside government officials, executives, and reporters. A giant screen behind the stage displayed the Sterling Holdings logo. Tonight was supposed to be Victor's greatest celebration. It was about to become his downfall. I walked through the entrance beside Mason. He carried a thin black case. I carried the original records. Neither of us spoke. Across the room, I saw Claire. She stood beside Victor in an elegant silver dress. The engagement ring was still on her finger. She saw me. Her face changed. Victor noticed. His hand tightened around his glass. Then he smiled. That smile told me everything. He had expected me to come alone. He hadn't expected Mason. Victor stepped onto the stage. Tonight isn't just about business. It's about believing in the future. Applause filled the ballroom. I stayed near the back. Claire stood beside him. Victor placed a hand around her waist. Our expansion represents trust, stability, and the courage to build something greater than ourselves. The words almost made me laugh. He had always been good at speeches. He could make theft sound like ambition. Then his eyes found me. Unfortunately, there are people who cannot accept success. A screen changed behind him. My photograph appeared. A murmur moved through the crowd. Victor lowered his voice. Ethan Cole once worked with Sterling Holdings. After our relationship ended, he became obsessed with damaging this company. Claire's face went pale. I didn't move. Victor continued. He has attempted to manipulate investors, spread false claims, and use private information against us. A reporter shouted from a crowd. Do you have proof? Victor smiled. We have documents. Two assistants carried folders onto the stage. I recognized them immediately. The fake records. My forged crime. Victor looked directly at me. Mr. Cole, if you have something to say, now would be the appropriate time. I walked forward. The room became quieter with every step. I stopped several feet from the stage. I do. Victor's smile returned. Then please. I looked at the audience. Then at Claire. She couldn't meet my eyes. I understood why. She had spent weeks believing I was trying to destroy the man she had chosen. Now she was about to watch the truth arrive. I opened my case. But before I could remove the first document, Mason stepped forward. Victor froze. Mason. Mason's hands were shaking. His voice wasn't. You told me to falsify the reports. The ballroom erupted. Victor's face hardened. Think carefully before you accuse me. I already did. Mason placed a recording device on the table. You ordered the transfers through the shell companies. You told me to make the debt disappear from the quarterly reports. Victor stepped toward him. Enough. Mason didn't move. You also told me Ethan would never come back. Every board member turned toward Victor. I opened my folder. Here are the original accounts. I placed the first document on the table. Then another. Then another. Hidden loans. Private transfers. Shell companies. False valuations. Everything Victor had buried. One board member grabbed a document. This account wasn't disclosed. Another looked at the numbers. Neither was this debt. Victor's voice rose. This is fabricated. I slid the original agreement across the table. Your signature is on it. His face went still. I turned to the board. This structure was created 5 years ago when Sterling Holdings was close to collapse. Victor tried to interrupt. I saved this company. No. I looked at him. You saved your name. The room erupted again. Victor pointed at me. You were involved too. Yes. That answer stopped him. I didn't hide. I worked for you. I built the original financial structure. I believed you would use it to repair the company. I placed another file beside the first. You didn't. The board members began speaking over one another. Phones came out. Executives moved toward the doors. Reporters surrounded the stage. Victor looked at me with something I had never seen in his eyes before. Fear, not anger. Fear. Authorities entered the ballroom minutes later. Victor turned toward them. This is a setup. Nobody answered. He pointed at me. He did this because I took his girlfriend. I shook my head. No. Victor stared at me. You're lying. I came here because you committed fraud. Claire's eyes filled with tears. She finally understood. Victor had never feared my money. He had feared the truth I carried. The board chairman stood. Victor Sterling, effective immediately. You are removed from executive control, pending investigation. Victor's face collapsed. You can't do this. The chairman didn't blink. We already have. Victor looked toward Claire. She stepped backward. That small movement seemed to hurt him more than anything else. He had lost the company. Then he lost her trust. I handed the complete evidence to the investigators. One officer took the case. Mr. Cole, we'll need your cooperation. You'll have it. Victor glared at me. You think you've won? I looked at him calmly. I don't need to think. I walked away. Outside, cold air replaced the noise of the ballroom. I stood beneath the building's entrance, watching cars pass. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt tired. The doors opened behind me. Claire stepped outside. She had removed her engagement ring. She held it tightly in her palm. Ethan. I didn't turn immediately. She came closer. I didn't know. I know. I thought he could give me security. I finally faced her. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. I thought money meant nobody could hurt me. She looked down at the ring. I was wrong. I said nothing. She swallowed. I traded the one person who always protected me for someone who only wanted to own me. My jaw tightened. Claire, I know. She stepped closer. I know I don't have the right to ask for anything. Her fingers slowly reached toward mine. I stepped back. Her hand stopped in the air. She lowered it. The engagement ring slipped from her fingers. It struck the pavement. A tiny metallic sound disappeared beneath the traffic. She stared at it, then at me. I still love you. Those words once would have destroyed every wall inside me. For years, I had wanted nothing more. Now, they weren't enough. I looked at the woman I had spent 5 years trying to keep. I finally understood the hardest part wasn't leaving. It was refusing to return. 3 weeks after Victor's empire began collapsing, the headlines finally stopped using my name. That was how I knew I had won. Not because Victor was under investigation. Not because his board had removed him. Not because Claire had regretted choosing him. I won because I stopped checking the news every morning. Mason received legal protection for cooperating with the investigation. Ryan spent most of his days helping me build something of my own. A new financial consulting firm. No hidden owners. No shell companies. No secret accounts. Just honest work. Ryan placed the first set of company papers on my desk. Your name is on everything. I ran my fingers across the signature line. That feels strange. Why? For years, I tried to keep my name out of everything. Ryan smiled. Maybe it's time you stopped hiding. I signed. The company became real that afternoon. So did the life I'd been too afraid to build. I moved into a smaller apartment across the city. It wasn't luxurious. It wasn't impressive. But every room belonged to me. There was no empty space waiting for Claire's clothes. No second key hanging beside the door. No photograph of us sitting on a shelf because I was afraid to admit it was over. I packed the last box myself. Inside was our old wedding photograph. We had never actually married, but Claire had once bought a framed picture and joked that it would become our wedding photograph someday. I stared at it for a long time. Then I removed the picture from the frame. I didn't tear it. I didn't burn it. I placed it inside a drawer. Some memories didn't need revenge. They only needed a place where they could stop controlling me. The next morning, Claire came to my office. She stood outside the glass door, holding a small box. I knew what it was before she opened it. The silver bracelet. The one she had refused to take. She placed it on my desk. I should have accepted this. My eyes stayed on the box. You don't have to return it. I know. Her voice was quiet. I wanted to. I opened the box. The bracelet still carried the date we first met. Claire touched the edge of it. I kept thinking about that night. So did I. You brought me a gift. And you brought me a key. Her lips pressed together. I deserve that. No. She looked at me. You don't have to punish yourself forever. I know. She took a breath. I came here because I finally understand something. I waited. I thought regret meant asking you to come back. She shook her head. It doesn't. Her eyes moved around my office. You've built a life without me. Yes. And you're happy? I considered the question. I'm learning. A small smile touched her face. That sounds more honest than saying yes. It is. She nodded. I won't ask you to come back. That sentence mattered more than her apology. Because for once, she wasn't trying to control the ending. She was accepting it. Thank you. She looked down. I really did love you. I believe you. Even when I hurt you. People can love someone and still make terrible choices. Her eyes became wet. I made mine. Yes. She picked up her bag. At the door, she stopped. I hope you become everything you were afraid to become. I smiled faintly. I hope you do too. She left. I didn't follow. That evening, we met for dinner. Not at the restaurant where she had ended our relationship. At the small place where we had first met 5 years earlier. The tables were simple. The lights were warm. Nobody there knew our history. They made it easier. Claire sat across from me. She wasn't wearing the engagement ring. Neither of us mentioned Victor. There was no reason to. What happens now? I looked around the room. I work. She smiled. You always did. No. Before, I worked to build a life for us. I paused. Now I'm building one for me. She nodded slowly. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I had stayed? Sometimes. What do you imagine? A quiet life. She smiled sadly. And now? Something different. Better. I thought about it. Not better. Her eyes lifted. Different. That answer seemed to satisfy her. She reached for her glass. Then stopped. Can I ask you one thing? Go ahead. Did you ever stop loving me? I looked at her. There were so many possible answers. Anger would have been easy. Coldness would have been easier. But I owed her the truth. No. Her eyes glistened. I stopped abandoning myself for you. She closed her eyes for a moment. When they opened again, there was no argument waiting behind them. Only acceptance. I understand. I believed her. We finished dinner without trying to rewrite the past. When we walked outside, the city was quiet. Claire stood beside me beneath the streetlight. For a moment, we were the same two people who had once believed our story would last forever. Then she stepped back. Goodbye, Ethan. I smiled. Goodbye, Claire. She walked away. I watched until she disappeared into the crowd. Then I turned in the opposite direction. I passed the same street where I had once waited outside her apartment for nearly an hour because she had forgotten our dinner plans. Back then, I had stood there hoping she would choose me. Tonight, I kept walking. My phone vibrated. For 1 second, I thought it might be Claire. It wasn't. A message from my new business partner appeared on the screen. The first international deal is signed. Congratulations. I smiled. I typed one reply. Thank you. This is only the beginning. Then I put the phone away. Months passed. Our firm grew. We hired more people. We worked with companies that wanted clean financial structures instead of hidden tricks. Ryan became my partner. Mason started a new life far away from Victor's shadow. Victor's investigation continued without me. I never celebrated his downfall. I didn't need to. His choices had created his consequences. Claire rebuilt her life too. She found work, moved into a smaller apartment, and stopped chasing the kind of life she once believed would make her valuable. We never became enemies. We simply became strangers who once meant everything to each other. One evening, I stood in front of my office window after signing another major contract. Ryan entered with 2 cups of coffee. You realize something? What? You finally look like yourself. I laughed. Was I that bad? You were disappearing. I looked down at my hands. My ring finger was empty. Once, that emptiness would have scared me. Now it didn't. I didn't need a ring to prove I was loved. I didn't need Claire's regret to prove I had been valuable. I didn't need Victor's defeat to prove I had won. For years, I thought my greatest victory would be making Claire regret leaving me. I was wrong. My greatest victory was reaching the day when I no longer needed her regret at all. I looked at the city outside. There was no bitterness left. Only space. Space for work. Space for peace. Space for whatever came next. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting for someone else to choose me. I had finally chosen myself.